Hello, beautiful people. It's Andrei, your French teacher, and in today's lesson, we are going to talk about the passé composé versus the imperfect tense. Both tenses express actions that happened in the past. Both are used for narration purposes. So, basically, talking about your past experience, talking about your CV in front of an employer, because those are past experience in the work field that you have, or talk about your childhood with your friends, or talk about past events with your family, and so on and so forth. However, how do we make a difference between them? When to use the past composé, when to use the imperfect tense? Because either, as we see, both are used for the same purpose, but they are different. How? The passé composé is related to one-time events clearly defined in time. So, a thing that happened in the past only once, and it stayed in the past. It finished in the past. So that's where we use the passé composé. The imperfect tense will be used when expressing reoccurring events over a period of time that is undefined, because if it is defined, like from 1997 to 2000 something happened, then we use the passé composé, even if that event was reoccurring, right? So if the period of time is undefined, it is in the past. We know that it is in the past. It doesn't overlap with the present, and the event that we are trying to talk about has been reoccurring or is simultaneous with another event. We use the imperfect tense. Take an example over here. Avant, Tammy habitait à Fort Worth, et puis un jour, elle a déménagé. We see over here in blue that we used the imperfect tense. Tammy was living at Fort Worth in Fort Worth, and then one day she moved. Et puis un jour, elle a déménagé. So we know that she used to be living for a period of time we don't know from when to when. We know that it happened somewhere in the past. And then one day it's a single event that occurred. She moved, and then I mean she can move in another place, but moving from Fort Worth to another place happened in one jour, in a day. So that is the one-time event that we were talking about, and that's where we used passé composé, which I recall to you, and I dare you to revise a little bit if you don't remember how it is formed. It is formed from the present of the auxiliary verb avoir or être, and the past participle of the verb. In this case, it's a simple past participle because it is the conjugated verb is déménagé, a verb from the first group that ends in the group er. We also see here, marked with green, some adverbs. Specific adverbs of time. Avant, which means before, and then puis, which means next or then. Un jour, which means one day. How do this relate to these tenses? Well, usually adverbs of time can be a very good, let's say, hmm, how can I say it? A very good way for you to see which tense you have to use. And let me see why that is. Because here you can see a breakdown of the adverbs of time that ask for either of the tenses to be used. For example, when we talk about a habit in the past, tous les jours, tous les matins, all the days, every day, every morning, or chaque jour, chaque matin, each day, each morning, or en général, généralement, usually, in general, autrefois, avant, before, in the past, somewhere long ago, or toujours, souvent, or rarement, which means frequency of events, always, often, rarely, will always, but always, ask for the imperfect tense when talking about something that happened in the past. Okay? So, otherwise, if you are talking about the present, it will require present because, right? But since we're talking about the past, let's focus on that. If you're talking about the past and you use something like "oh," I always used to scuba dive, then you would use the imperfect tense. However, if you use something like one day, one morning, one evening, un jour, un matin, un soir, or suddenly, abruptly, brusquely, soudain, brusquement, brutalement, tout d'un coup, all of a sudden, tout à coup, suddenly, tout de suite, right away, immédiatement, which means immediately, or d'abord, enfin, which are usually used in opinions or relating past events in a sequential manner. First of all, something happened, then something else happened, and finally I arrived somewhere, right? And then we have puis and ensuite that we've seen then or next. Then you would use the passé composé. And let's have a listening exercise this time. I'm going to attach these questions to you. I'm also going to play a little bit of a listening exercise. And I hope that you will be able to answer the questions. If not, I'm going to also look a slide to the next slide, which is going to cover the answers, the correct answers. So let's try it.
Quand Tex était tout petit, il habitait dans la banlieue de Houston avec sa famille. Ce petit atout, curieux de nature, aimait toujours faire de longues promenades avec ses amis pour explorer les coins et recoins de la banlieue, surtout les autoroutes. Un jour, pendant une promenade, il s'est perdu. Heureusement, après des heures et des heures, il a trouvé l'entrée de l'aéroport Bush International. Fasciné par le bruit et le mouvement, il s'est précipité vers les avions. Tandis qu'il examinait un avion de plus près, un homme l'a brusquement pris et il l'a jeté à l'intérieur avec les bagages. 8 heures plus tard, l'avion est arrivé à Paris, où Tex commencerait sa nouvelle vie française. Tex a passé le reste de son enfance en France. En fait, il est devenu 100% français. Quand il était adolescent, il se considérait comme un disciple de Sartre. Il ne connaissait rien au baseball et détestait tout ce qui était américain. Mais en 1998, tout d'un coup, sa vie a changé quand il a découvert que ses parents étaient américains.
Okay, that was the listening exercise, and now you should be able to answer these questions. They're very simple questions, and I hope that you manage to answer them, or at least have an idea of how to answer them, and then we can take a look at the solution too. Tex aimait toujours and faire de longues promenades avec ses amis. It said at some point that Tex would make would always go out with his friends and explore all the nook and corners of the streets, right? Then someday he arrived at the airport and un homme l'a brusquement pris et il l'a jeté à l'intérieur avec les bagages. So a man has grabbed him and has thrown him in the luggage, and that's how he got to Paris. Because that was the question: how Tex got to Paris. We see again over here an example of how to answer questions. I'm sorry for this because it is an additional word. We see here that we formulated a question that with the imperfect tense, right? So obviously, how would we answer it? Using the imperfect tense. Tex aimait toujours, etc., etc., etc. Now the thing is, we see toujours, which is an adverb. We talked about adverbs of time. Toujours, which asks for the imperfect tense. Also, we see over here, in a similar manner, the second question would be answered using the passé composé because it has been made with the passé composé. Comment Tex est arrivé à Paris? How has he arrived at Paris? In the airport, dans l'aéroport, un homme, a man, l'a brusquement pris. A man grabbed him very suddenly, right? And we know that this is an adverb that asks for the passé composé. Et il a jeté, because we have the conjunction and here, obviously the next verb is going to also be used in the passé composé tense. À l'intérieur avec les bagages inside the plane with all the luggage. Well, that was it for today's lesson, and I hope that you answered the questions correctly. I would challenge you to tell me in the comments how many of the questions did you get them both right, or just one of them, or none, right? And if so, is it too hard of an exercise? Would you need some other type of exercises? Maybe you need more listening exercises. Maybe you like this type of exercise more. So tell me in the comments if you liked my approach. For now, bye bye.